Thank you very much, and thank you, Chris. That's a great introduction. I think everybody agrees that mining is going through a significant and rapid change. Actually, I think change is something that mining is pretty familiar with, and whether or not they adopt it, willingly, or whether they sort of, naturally are moving that way. We're seeing actually a fair amount of change, and whether or not people are necessarily aware of it, some great steps forward. What I want to talk about today is a little bit around safe operations, really as a foundation to build a change-capable workforce on. The kicking off, of course, we all have a safety message, and it's good to kick off a day with like this with a little discussion around safety. And I'd like to talk about distraction, distracted walking, distracted driving. Distraction is something that, as a safety issue, you're trying to deal with, because and we have these safety messages just about every day in an operation. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get people to realize that this could happen to them. That if they don't pay attention, if they don't follow the guidelines that we have, then obviously an accident or an incident could occur. So what we're talking about, 400,000 hours of rehabilitation last year in the United States and Canada based on people that had accidents while texting on their phone. And that's both in cars and pedestrians. So let's pay attention. Having said that, let's talk about opportunities in building a safe operation. So a recent study shows that safe operations and safe work is actually 3 times less likely to result in an environmental incident and is 10 times more productive. So if we want to improve the cost of operations, if we want to reduce cost of operations, if we want to then take the cost of that operation translated into reducing cutoff grades and extending mine life, then safe operations pays for itself. It's really sort of an interesting sort of concept that says, safety is actually free. Safety actually is more productive. Safety is actually a better position. You get higher morale and things like that. So it's, when we're talking to people about safety and the core parts or requirements around safety, it's really around your ability to plan. So safe work is planned work, or planned work is safe work. And in a lot of cases, technology is coming in assisting the planning side of work. Here we have an example of Martek's law. And Martek's law is sort of a takeoff on Moore's law, if you will, in that the technology is changing at an exponential rate. Whereas our ability to engage with organizations, our ability to manage technology, and our flexibility, our workforce flexibility and things like that, that's really moving at a linear rate. So that gap between the potential in technology and the potential within the organization is something that all organizations deal with. Safe operations is using technology to apply to, I want to change the word from planning to choreography. You're not planning work as much as you're choreographing it, because in a lot of cases in mining, you're sharing the same space and the same time. Those are shared resources. So you're putting equipment and people into the same space and at the same time. And some of those might be construction people, they might be the survey guys, the technology, or technological support or tech support, ground support, and production. You're all trying to get into that same space at the same time. So you really need a choreography. Technology can help in that. And our ability to utilize that technology is really going to be based on our capability within the organization. Now, the technology is going to continue to increase. We're going to see the growth in technology, and it's really how quickly can we grow our organizations? How quickly can we create a foundation whereby our workforce can utilize the technology as quickly? We can utilize the full extent of the capability of it, so that typically what the modular mining and the mining dispatch systems were finding was that people were turning off the technology. The system was sending trucks to shovels, in a very simple example, but rather than dealing with all of the complexity and things like that, maybe because of understanding, maybe because really the dispatch person was answering the phones and sending walkie-talkies and putting people on break, they simplified the technology, they turned it off. So why is that? That was an understanding issue, and it was also a capabilities issue. So the technology had more capability and the people didn't really understand how to utilize it. So that's what we're dealing with the MARTEX law. And how do we change that gap? One of the large capabilities that you have to develop within an organization is the ability to communicate effectively. So being able to communicate effectively, getting people to understand. Being able to communicate effectively means being able to speak to an individual on a person-to-person basis and talk about why is this in their best interest. That helps you to adopt the new solution much faster. Safe operations is going to be something that is adopted more readily, is something that we start to understand is not safety is not separate from operations. We can combine the two and become more productive. We're doing this already with clients in the workplace in both Canada, the United States, underground in Mongolia, across the world. We talk about communication and creating understanding. One of the barriers to adaptation of new technology is culture, company culture and habits. So right now, everything that we do, or studies find that 40% of everything we do on a daily basis is based on habit. You have to decide to change that habit. In order to decide to change that habit, you have to have a communication on a one-to-one personal basis. Organizations that develop that capability are going to be the organizations that move forward with technology faster. Here's an example. This is a picture taken 2 kilometers underground at the bottom of a shaft. This shaft sinking had no LTIs. They put in 1 million man-hours a month. They had a 0.09 industry outstanding industry AFIR. As well, partly by implementing safe operations, they got a 43% improvement in shaft sinking rates. And that obviously affected the NPV and the shaft schedule, and they finished it 61 days early. Other client examples here, we've recently kicked off a piece of work implementing safe operations in 2 underground mines. We got a 32% improvement in tons to the surface in 10 weeks. So being able to communicate with people, getting people to understand, how we want to change some of the habits and some of our behaviors, choreographing and planning work effectively can get you terrific results really quickly and safely. And that has a huge impact on operations, and it has a huge impact on people and communities. I think that those are basically the main points that I wanted to make. I think that safe operations is a great thing. I think that we should all adopt it, and let's be safe, and let's not text while we walk. Thank you very much. Any questions?